Tools and materials that we're going to be needing for this project. We need our shoe last, any size of your choice. You need your flexible tape. This is mine. You also need your meter rule, the one that is straight enough. You need your pencils. You need your pen. You need your erasers. You need your masking tape, and yeah. So the first step is that we're going to tape the last. So first step is basically taping the last. Different people have different methods of taping the last. Personally, I don't know if there is a particular way you're supposed to tape the last. If there is and you know, please just leave it there. Just leave it in the comment section. Tell me that, there's a particular way you're supposed to tape the last. But basically, the way that I tape my last when I'm taping the last is that I make sure that they are lapped on top of each other. Basically, like there's always going to be an edge that is on top of the previous one, like that, so that it is easier to pull. And I'm basically just taping kind of like half of the last, because I'm working on one part. I'm just going to duplicate on the other side, so I really don't have to tape everywhere. I already started taping everywhere, but anyways, so next thing is that I'm going to get my center line. And how do I do this? I basically just draw a straight line on a straight masking tape, like the one that is on the table, and then I just eyeball the last, trying to figure out where the center is, marking it out. Just place the last away from me and towards me, just trying to follow the flow, eyeballing it all the way. And then after doing that, the masking tape that I drew a straight line, I'm just going to gently place it, making sure that I follow those markings, those guides that I already made. So yeah, and then after doing this is the center line. The next thing I am going to find is the back line, and it is the same process. Basically, draw a straight line on a masking tape, whatever size, and then eyeball finding the line, like with your eyes, like an imaginary line there, and then place the tape on the parts that you have marked out, basically. So yeah, that is it. So we found the center lines and the back line. I'm going to be saying a couple of things, so I think it's best to just recap or start putting them. So first, we taped the last. Second, we made out the center line, and then we also got our back line. And then the next one is that we are going to find what we call the standard last length. And the standard last length, every last has it, okay? You just have to find what yours is for your last. And we're going to be using centimeters, not inches, not meters, centimeters, right? And you just want to go from the back line to the front of your last, and that is basically how you get your standard last length. And on this my last, it got up to 27 centimeters, and that is going to be relevant later, so keep that aside. And then the next part is that we're going to find the balls. How do we find the balls? You basically just place your last on a flat surface, and then the part that is touching the flat surface, whatever flat surface you use, you mark it on the medial side and the lateral side. So your last or your leg will always have two sides of balls. So you just place your last on the flat surface, and then the highest part, or the part that touches your flat surface, you mark it. And I already did that. And after that, I am going to draw the line meeting these 2 points that I drew. They are not straight. Your line will not be straight, and this line I'm drawing is called the vamp line. It's called the vamp line. It is not straight. It is always kind of slant and everything. That is how it is supposed to be. And then this point right here, this is the vamp point, which we'll also be using later. I am just stating all of this out so that later in the video, when I'm just talking about it, you will know. And then next part we're going to do is the counterpoint. And how do we get our counterpoint? You remember that standard last length that we derived or we got earlier? Basically, to get your counterpoint, you need to divide your standard last length by 5. Basically, that is all. You divide your standard last length by 5, and then on this last, it got up to 5.4 thereabout. And yeah, so that point that you did there, that is your standard last length. I'm sorry, that is your counterpoint. And then if you add 1 centimeter above that counterpoint, you find your back height. But we're not using our back height for this particular pattern. Maybe in another video or something else. So now we found our counterpoint, and yeah, we are very much on our way. This pattern is actually very easy to get. So after that, we're just going to divide the lateral side, one side of our vamp line, which is the lateral side, and we're just going to divide it into 2. So mine came up to about 7 centimeters, and dividing it into 2, that's about 3.5 centimeters. So yours can be any number, any amount, and then you just find you divide whatever number you get into 2. So mine is 3.5, and that is what I marked there. And then from that point, that 3.5 mark, I'm just going to add half a centimeter. I'm going to add half a centimeter away from the first mark. So that is the second mark, and then I am going to draw a line connecting that half a centimeter just now to my counterpoint. And it's easier when you do this with your tape. Personally, in this video, I don't know why I struggled. I actually struggled a bit trying to draw up this line. But yeah, basically, so you just use your flexible tape, and then you draw a straight line connecting your counterpoint to that half a centimeter point of the vamp line. And yeah, basically, so I'm just using my pen to make sure everything is standing out. And this line that we drew is the top line of our shoe. This is where if it's you put your leg. This is the point, basically. So normally, to do the front of the shoe, you can either add half a centimeter below your vamp point or half a centimeter above your vamp point, depending on the design that you want to do, so you can just try out different designs. It is up to you. Now, me personally, I added half a centimeter above my vamp point because I actually want it to be more like a Victorian ballet shoe or something. And from there on, you can now go crazy with any kind of design that you want to do. So personally, I'm just going to make this triangle, making it like point from this half a centimeter above my vamp point to the half a centimeter away from the middle of my vamp line. You see? So that is basically it. So it actually gives it that wideness for you to put your leg and everything. And you can also make any design. Like this design I'm making now, that is like kind of like round. You can try out any design. It is completely up to you. But personally, I'm just going to use the one that is pointing like a triangle. That is the one I'm going to use. Let me just mark it out with a pen so that it is sharp and you do not get confused. Note that the other one I was drawing on top, I was just showing you that you can try out different designs. So for this one, I am just going to use this one that is pointy. And then I just go and mark out any extras, make sure that it is coming out well and everything. So that's basically what I am doing. And then the next step is to cut out your pattern. And you see this top here, so we're not using that. I know it's a waste, but you're not using that for this design. Maybe in another kind of shoe or something that you want to do, you can go ahead to use the design. So to cut this out, you cut through that center line. First things first, let's remove these excesses below it. And this part, this edge that I'm running through now, this is called the feather edge of the last. It is that point where you know that anything extra is just going underneath your last. So this is the feather edge of the last, and I'm removing all of the excesses so that when I'm pulling it out, it doesn't get confusing or messy. So I go back with my knife and basically just follow the lines that I have drawn. Note that I follow the back line and the center line. So I'll just remove this so that you don't get confused, the excess. So there's no more excess. We now know where we are going to cut. So you cut through the back line, and then gently you just pull the masking tape away from your last. Gently. You don't have to be in such a hurry. And after doing this, we're working on one side. Like I said, we're going to duplicate our design from one side, duplicate it on the other side. Some people actually design on both sides. Those kind of people, I'll be like, they try a lot, because I really don't know how they do that. To be able to get the symmetry in it, I don't know. I haven't been able to do it, so I just design on one side and then I duplicate on the other. So this design that we marked out and we cut out, I'm just going to put it on a sheet of paper. Cutting out the edges, not cutting out, just making small incisions, because I don't want it to fold, and so that when I smoothen it on the paper, everything just stays, okay, just like the way you're saying, everything just stays perfectly. So when you are on the edges, especially towards the front and towards the back of the pattern, you are needed to make some incisions so that everything is okay. And then now I'll be adding allowances for lasting allowance, and I'll just be adding an allowance of about 1 inch allowance. You can add as much as you want to, but I think 1 inch is like perfect for it, so I'm just adding the 1 inch allowance everywhere, and drawing out the center line perfectly, making sure that everything is okay. So this whole thing, you just have to be careful. I think this is actually one of the easiest patterns to make. Like, there's no designs. The designs are not so much, and it's just straightforward. There are some designs that you'll be there for like 2 days just trying to get your pattern right. So I would really urge that as a shoemaker, you should actually try out this design. And then the vamp line, now, like the vamp line from the other side, I'm just going to make it pronounced, draw it out. And this is another part. This part is so important, okay? You see this place that is my counterpoint. So you see the way I placed it on my place this pattern on my last. I'll show you in a bit. Once I place it, you see where it's going to the down of the last. It's not going towards the counterpoint, and that's because we have to do something that is called springing the vamp, or springing your pattern. And basically, you just make a little incision above and below. Don't cut through. So you see the way it's just flexible. You don't have to cut through. you don't have to cut through, so there will be a space that you haven't cut through in the middle. You just make an incision at the top and at the bottom of your pattern so that you can spring the vamp. And how we do this is that when you have done this, you can just adjust it, and you adjust the pattern to, you see the way I'm trying to bring it together. Okay, there will be a space at the bottom when you have sprung your vamp, that is why you're using masking tape to hold it. And then you go again, you check, it's still not at my counterpoint, the pattern is still not giving, it's still kind of puffy, you might not be able to see. So I have to go in again and spring the vamp a little more. Okay, and because it's a masking tape, it's actually easy for me to just pull off or peel out. I'm being gentle, by the way. See the way I'm springing it, you are turning it. It's a pattern. You can always adjust any part that you feel like is a loss to you. So you are basically bringing, gently pivoting your pattern into itself. I don't know how to speak this English, so now you see naturally it just goes to the counterpoint. Before, it wasn't going to the counterpoint, and this is actually very important. Okay, it is important that you do this so that your pattern just stays perfectly. Not like one side will be good, one side will not be good. Okay, so next we are going to duplicate our pattern. And how do we do this? So this is a large piece of paper that I folded into two, and basically just placed my other pattern on it and draw out the pattern basically. And now that the vamp has been sprung, you can have your good pattern. I forgot to say this, that method I did just now, springing the vamp, is actually just one method, right? That's one method that you can use to spring your vamp or your pattern. I'm also going to show you a second method of doing this. So yeah, this is going to be the major pattern, and you just want to go ahead to make sure, in cases where you did not add enough allowances, this is the point that you have to add your extra allowance. That is if the allowance you added before was not enough. So I'm just going to cut it out, and remember that this paper is folded into two, and when you open it, voila, you see. So I'm still not satisfied. You see the way I'm still trying to, this is what I want the pattern to come together, and I'm still not satisfied with how it looks. So this is the second method of how to spring your pattern. Same thing that you did when you were springing your vamp. You just mark upwards and downwards, and then make an incision upwards and make an incision downwards so that the middle is still connected, and then you join these lines, or you join them together. One side is going to be open, and that is completely normal. Like you see, the top of mine is actually open, and if you see inside, it is now what I wanted. You see the way it's just laying perfectly and everything. So this is my pattern, complete pattern. I really hope you find this very interesting. Like for part 2, and don't forget to subscribe. See you next time. Bye.